Louisiana versus all y'all. Jared Roser here with a familiar face on the channel and Jhase Thomas, the standout 2025. As we talked about most recently, we can call him just straight up DB now. Don't have to talk about athlete because we know where that home is positionally at the next level. And he's getting close to figuring out where that home is going to be geographically at the next level as well, with a July 13th commitment announcement date now set. And we're going to talk all about that, including each of the 5 finalists. LSU, an in-state school, as well as Texas Tech, Houston, and Ole Miss, each just, a state away in Colorado with Coach Prime, the Buffs up there. But Jhase, man, as I mentioned, you're a week away now from decision day, less than a week away from decision day on what will be your birthday celebration. Talk me through just how everything's been going these last few weeks and how we got here to where you feel like it is decision time.
Ever since after that spring game, within like a month ago, my phone has been constantly blowing up, and the recruiting process has been really hectic for me. So I finally came down with Sam with the top 5 the schools that I'm really interested in and the schools that are really interested in me. Other than that, it's just been really hectic, and I'm ready to make my decision on the 13th.
Talk me through, I guess, because you can share some perspective on that. You guys wait, and sometimes it gets anxious waiting for the recruiting process to start. When are these offers going to start coming? And then for guys like you that start to pick up a fair amount of offers, it seems like for a lot of y'all, there hits a point where it's okay. Now it's kind of a lot now. I'm trying to juggle a lot and get ready for my senior year and all these things. What is that process like of just once those floodgates open and all the offers are there and all the communication is picking up, how much of a relief does it get to at some point put the recruiting process behind you a little bit and be able to kind of focus back on the task at hand?
The last time I was on a Zoom call with you, I started my recruitment process pretty early, around the end of my sophomore season. So being able to put my whole entire recruiting process to a close July 13th, it's going to be a huge relief. And my family has been really excited for this day to come, and they just can't wait to see what school I choose.
From your perspective at that point, when we were having your first interview, talking about some of the stuff just starting to kick off to now, what has been the biggest change in your perspective of how to approach some of this, how to look at the options that are out there, questions that you may be wanting to ask coaches over the last few weeks? How has that part of it, just in the way that you approach recruiting, developed as you got more comfortable with it and, had a chance to take some more visits and chat with more coaches and kind of learn, what was important to you in the process?
What was most important to me in the process was I wanted to find a winning team, and a team that treated me and my family just like we were all family. And a lot of these coaches, they definitely showed me that they can treat me and my family very well. And the hospitality that I was given on all of my visits was amazing. Every coach so far that I've met has been really, really, really cool. We've been building relationships even before I went on the visits, and being able to see those guys face to face instead of on FaceTime and stuff and on Zoom calls. And so it was easier to be able to connect and bond with those guys.
You mentioned the family dynamic. I guess as we start getting into each of the schools, we can just go in order. And Ole Miss, of the 5 finalists, was the first to offer, a place that obviously your dad had that background of playing out there. And so a place that you grew up super familiar with. What stood out about the Rebels and the way that they approached your recruitment that had them need to be in this top 5 for you?
What really stood out about Ole Miss was, of course, they were the first to offer me. So they seen my talent and they seen my potential before anybody else could. And so, of course, they were going to be in my top 5. And I really love the coaching staff over there. They have one of the best offensive minds in the country as their head coach. They have the best defensive coaches. So they're Ole Miss is a pretty good program, and I have a teammate up there that really speaks highly of them. So Ole Miss has always been, up there for me.
What has Anthony had to say through some of this? Just, I guess, what has been his advice, whether that you need to follow his footsteps and be another Destrehan guy making that move to Oxford, or just his advice on how to handle making a tough decision in a college home?
His only advice to me was enjoy the recruiting process, because he also made a decision around this time, and he enjoyed the recruiting process and was able to take his business and stuff and finally made his decision to Ole Miss. And he was just telling me to do the same.
Another early one for you was Colorado, who's in your top 5, and they've been over the last couple of years one of the, I guess you'd say, trendy programs after not being as competitive as they were used to in the 90s for a long stretch. Coach Prime and company up there has had them be kind of media darlings, where you see them having some big games and you see them covered in a big way and just kind of on people's national consciousness. What has stood out about them, not just kind of seeing some of that notoriety, but in terms of the conversations they had with you that made you feel like that could be a place that you needed to consider pretty seriously?
A few of those coaches have been hitting me up since day one, since the day that they offered me. But ever since I put them in my top 5, a lot of half of the coaching staff has reached out to me, and they've been talking to me about Boulder and how I could fit in the program. And even when I posted my top 5 on Twitter, a lot of fans in the comments and stuff. So I could see that they really care too.
Their fan base is super passionate. As much as we're used to that somewhat from the SEC programs, I noticed through some of like the Juwan Johnson recruiting process how active their fans were and kind of tuning into everything you guys had going on when you had that Colorado offer, for sure. You pick up the Houston offer early this calendar year. It was, mid-January, but a lot of those coaches are guys who were at Tulane a year ago, where they offered you also in that same sort of stretch last May. And so you have Coach Willie Fritz out there, who the defensive coordinator Sheil Wood was a guy that came from Tulane, and so some definite connections there from a program that had offered you a long ways back. What has stood out about Houston, whether it be since those guys got there in January, or even knowing that some of those relationships span, a year or more further back?
Tulane was an extremely good program when Coach Fritz was there, and I knew when he left and went to Houston that he was going to bring the same energy and the same discipline and stuff that he brought from Tulane to Houston. So I knew when they offered me that they were going to recruit me just as hard as they would when they were in New Orleans. They were right up the street when they were here. I've been to a few games, and I was actually able to build a really, really good bond and a really good relationship with all those guys up there. Even when I was a sophomore, they were recruiting me as if I was committing the next day, or my commitment day was the next day. So those guys have always been really, really, really cool with me, and I've always been really, really cool with them.
They've been really hot this summer too, in terms of pulling some Louisiana commitments. We're recording this on Sunday, so a day ago, DK Mays, the big defensive lineman from Central Baton Rouge, committed. Another guy really well, Jacob Bradford, the defensive back from Catholic High, committed recently. They have Rashad Sterling from Lutcher, who committed in April or May. What is working so well for them? I mean, you mentioned you personally having the relationship for quite a while with some of those coaches, but in terms of their vision for the program and what they're telling you guys, their recruiting pitch, what stands out about them that you think is making them so successful with Louisiana recruits?
Not much, just Louisiana recruits. I think they're having an outstanding recruiting with the whole country. Those guys up there recruiting, it's amazing. The hospitality, the coaching, everything that they put in front of you on your OVs and unofficials, and even when you're just speaking to them, it's amazing. And those coaches, they definitely know what they're doing, and they're going to have a fantastic season this year, for sure.
Texas Tech offered at the end of May. What has stood out about the Red Raiders that has them in your top 5? Another program that they haven't had as much success recruiting Louisiana guys recently, but they've been pretty active and had a guy here or there that they've been really big on. What has them in the mix for you late?
Texas Tech was a school that offered me extremely late, but just because they offered me late didn't really mean anything to me. They show love. They show love from the day that they offered me to the day I came out there, and till this day they still show love. So I was able to go out there and return the favor and visit and be able to see campus and see the really, really nice facility. I was able to get a sneak peek of some of the Adidas stuff that they had before they switched over from Under Armour to Adidas, and some of the stuff Patrick Mahomes has blessed them with. So being able to go out there and return the favor to those coaches to visit and take a look around the campus, just like how they did me when they came to my practice to visit me and offer me.
And then last but obviously not least, LSU made the move at that recent camp. It'll be a month to the day before your birthday. On June 13th was when that offer came. But it was a program that you'd obviously grown up not far from, had a chance to be there quite a bit, whether it be camps, visits, or, I mean, for a number of reasons, stopping through Baton Rouge. How much of a game changer was that Tigers offer, obviously, in your recruiting process, and what has stood out about that coaching staff, their vision for you and for the program as a whole these last few weeks that has them really well positioned with you?
Being a Louisiana kid, everybody wants to have that in-state offer. So I was really blessed to have the opportunity to be able to go out there and showcase my skills for them, not knowing that if I was going to get the offer or not. Luckily enough, I went out there, I did my job, did all the individual drills really well, covered well, did everything that they wanted to see. I ran a 4.4, and Coach Kelly offered me right after warm-ups. So it was pretty crazy how the offer came about. I was really excited because, obviously I'm from Louisiana. Every Louisiana kid's dream is to have the LSU offer. And being a DB and knowing what LSU does to DBs that come from Louisiana is just amazing. It's crazy being able to have the opportunity to go to that school.
You know a lot of guys, obviously, that are either on that roster already or are already in this 2025 class that would be your kind of classmates going into Baton Rouge if you committed to LSU. Who have been some of the guys that you've talked to the most from a player side of things that have been maybe the most vocal with you about you potentially joining forces with them in Baton Rouge?
Well, of course, Kalaz Cobb is my old teammate. We talk a lot, almost week to week. There's a few other players. There's actually not even a few. There's a lot that hit me up. Ricky Collins, Chris Hilton, Jordan, a lot of other people. I can go on and on. But they really show a lot of love to me. I played against some of these people. I worked out with a lot of them. They show love to me just like the coaches show love to me. They're recruiting me just like the coaches are. Yeah, I love the love. I like the love that they show me. Just because I'm an in-state kid, and most of those guys I just named are in-state kids, so they went through a recruiting process just like me. So they're able to relate through the things that I'm like sort of going through with the recruiting process and how hectic it is, and they're like telling me what I can do to like kind of take a breath and slow it down and stuff like that. So those guys have really been in contact with me about just stuff in general and not much LSU.
I didn't ask you about some of the conversations with the Houston committed players, but after Sam posted the list of your finalists, Mr. Stacy Bradford, Jacob Bradford's dad, posted about he needs his spades partner in a certain city. And initially I'm thinking, the Bradfords are in Baton Rouge. They want you in Baton Rouge before it clicked. Wait, Jacob just committed to Houston. What's the relationship been like with Jacob and his family specifically, or also Rashad Sterling, who's a guy, from down there in Lutcher, not too far from you, or if you've had a chance to talk to DK at all, or any of the other players that are either in Houston already or Houston bound in this class?
Haven't been able to talk to DK, never spoke to him before. But Jacob, we have always been in touch through social media, kind of. We've always known who each other are, and we've been able to we actually played each other week 1 this year. A lot of people are looking forward to that matchup. Me and Jacob I think it was our sophomore year. We met each other at the LSU camp together. We were both in the little Tiger group or whatever, working out to get an opportunity. We talked a lot then, and then later when the recruiting process started blowing up for the both of us, we met each other. Like, we seen each other again in Houston. We had a lot of conversations there. It's almost like we just clicked. Like our personality is the same. Let alone Rashad was out there when I was in Houston, so we played each other in the jamboree this year, and we're able to like relate to some things and talk about the old games. We've been playing each other since freshman year, so it's just cool to be able to speak to those guys and see how far we've come together.
So what's Saturday going to look like when you ultimately have to announce one of these as, you know, not just a finalist, but the actual destination and make your college commitment. Talk us through, you know, waking up birthday day and just kind of what that day is going to look like, feel like, what folks should expect to see in terms of the announcement itself.
Folks should expect to see a very electric birthday / commitment day. My family has it really planned out for me. I can't go too much into it because I don't even know myself. They're kind of doing everything on their own and trying to surprise me and stuff. But it's going to be a really cool day for me, my family, and the world to figure out where I'm going to school at.
Anything that you want to say, kind of, I guess, last words to fans from all of these programs as they kind of prepare to tune in and watch and see what the final call is, stuff that you want to kind of share to all of them before we start talking very specifically about just one in a week?
Mm-hmm. I would like to say thank you to a lot of the programs that have offered me and given me the opportunity to come to those schools. And I would like to say thank you to all the people that have supported me on this journey. There's a lot of people out there that may not be able to see me face to face or across the country that watch my journey. And there's a few kids that I know in this world that look up to me. So I would like to thank everybody that walks with me on this journey and watches me go to the next level.
There you go. He's Jhase Thomas. He'll be making his college announcement on July 13th between a Final Five of LSU, Houston, Ole Miss, Colorado, and Texas Tech. And for Louisiana versus all y'all, Jarrett Roser, appreciate, Jhase, your time, and appreciate everybody for tuning in to kind of hear more about your journey so far and what's next.